I got a call from my agent. She said, have you heard of a director, Scottish director called Bill Douglas? I said, yes, I have. Yeah, I have. He's brilliant. She said, well, that's good you think so, because he wants to see you for a film that he's doing called Comrades. And I think one of the reasons that my name had been mentioned to him, because I don't think he'd really seen my work, but my name had been kind of mentioned to him as a possibility because of the very fact that as the Lanternist, it involved playing a lot of different characters, 14 to be exact, although one of them was lost in the final cut. But I'd been doing that sort of thing in my career. I used to tour with a political theatre company back in the 70s called the 784 Company. They were quite famous. And we played multi-characters in that because of budgetary restraints. You got a cast of thousands for the price of 5, you know what I mean? So I kind of made a wee bit of a name doing that kind of thing, instant characterizations. And I think that's how I came to Bill's attention. My first impressions of Bill were that he couldn't possibly have been the boy who was portrayed in the trilogy. He had transformed himself. And in a way, that's what one of the themes of Comrades was about transformation. And at the end of Comrades, when they're all on stage and the Lanternist is the kind of showman who, gets them to do a bow and then he bows and looks at the audience. And from being the ragged character that he is at the beginning of the film, he's now dressed in a kind of splendid Victorian, waistcoat and jacket and frock coat and all that sort of thing, and the martyrs themselves are dressed up smartly. Lives can be transformed, and that's what the trilogy is all about. His life is transformed, and it's transformed into the person that I met in that office that day. He completely transformed himself. He'd reinvented himself. Bill wasn't a great one for explaining things. He didn't spend a lot of time on descriptions of things. Most scripts will say, interior, night, and then a description of where you are and what's happening. It would just be the bare minimum. And that's what I loved about the script, that it gave me a chance, and I suppose most of the other actors, a real opportunity to use our imaginations. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do for a living. We use our imagination. And so I think one of the things that brought the script to life, rather than just words on a page, was the fact that we all drew from within ourselves. By the time we had committed it to camera, we knew what we were doing. We knew where it was coming from. We knew what the emotions were. And Bill was very good at encouraging all that. He said, the Lanternist really in this is me. He said, it's me as the film director. He said, and I'm kind of watching my own film, being part of it. He said, and I think I remember he said it's a bit like Alfred Hitchcock always made a little cameo in his films. He always appeared somewhere or other. He said, well, the Lanternist is me, who appears throughout the film, just to kind of remind you that you're watching my film. And I thought, this is fabulous. I love the idea of this. I love the whole notion of it. He wanted the Lanternist to be many things. When he first appears, he comes into the little village of Tolpuddle and shows lantern slides and puts on this strange kind of little pantomime thing about the things that he's seen, the news of the machine wreckers. So he's in a sense bringing the news of the outside world of the changes that are taking place, the transformations that are taking place in society. But it's more than that in The Lanternist. It's also Bill's passion for early cinema, for pre-cinema. So he uses that to remind us all the way through of the changes in cinema. You've got, like, The Lanternist plays Signor Gaviotti, I think his name is, Signor Gaviotti, who's an early Victorian photographer. There's another scene in when I'm this guy in a carriage who brings word to the Tolpuddle martyrs, and there's a little girl standing by the carriage, and I bring an optical toy of a bird in a cage and spin it, and the bird appears to be in the cage. So it's all about illusion. As Bill kept reminding me, I had to let the audience in on it. I had to let the audience know that it was really the Lanternist playing a character. That was my kind of challenge, to come up with that. So it wasn't like I lost myself and became kind of, subsumed in the character that I was playing. All the time I had to have that little step away to let you know that they're all being real. The people in Tolpuddle or whoever it was in Australia, they're all in a reality, but I'm in a different reality. I've taken one step back from reality because I'm really the Lanternist, And that was a great challenge. And I think Bill felt, I know he felt, that there was a challenge that I had risen to. He used to come over to me and say, "You're doing this so right. You're doing this so right. It's great. I love what you're doing." What Bill wanted was for Dorset to have an aspect of the kind of bleakness that he brought to the trilogy. He wanted it to be in black and white. It was that's what he wanted. He wanted the Dorset to be shot in black and white. He also wanted it shot in the old cinema ratio, 4:3. And then, when the martyrs had come up from the hold of the ship that's taken them to Australia, and they emerged blinking into this Australian sunlight, look around, he wanted the screen to open up to be wide vision, because that's how the martyrs saw Australia, going from the narrow confines of the little life to this amazing, huge vista vision. Australia, I think, was so important to the story of the martyrs, and so important that he wanted the audience to understand what it was like as part of the transformation of the characters themselves. They had to transform in Australia. They had to become different people. Once a life experience like that touches you, you can't go back to where you were before and be the same. And in fact, that's pretty much what happened to the martyrs in real life. The shoot in Australia was wonderful. It was great to be there and great to be in those locations, but it was a lot more fraught than the shoot in Dorset, because Bill was not a man to compromise. He wanted to get his vision on the screen without any interference, and it didn't matter how long that took or how many shots and setups he had to do to achieve that. I'll tell you how bad things got. They came to the point where the rumours were flying around the set that the film, they were going to pull the plugs, the film was not going to be completed. The money was going to disappear. And I said to Bill one night, I said, Bill, we all think, we've all heard this, the problems with the budget and everything, and there's no more money. And Bill just looked at me and said, "There's always more money. There's always more money. Never believe them." But we all got together as the principals, the actors, and we decided, this is kind of fairly unprecedented, but we were all so committed to this film and also so passionate about working with Bill that we all decided that if necessary, we would continue to work for nothing until the film was finished. We would just take no more money. My final thoughts on the film are, well, I'll tell you this. One of the jokes that we used to have among ourselves as actors was looking forward to the reviews of the film. And although we knew it was special and it was unique and it was wonderful, the kind of running joke was visualizing a headline that said, Bill Douglas's flawed masterpiece. My abiding memory of Bill Douglas is the twinkle. He just had that twinkle in his eye. That little... It was there. There was times when I said that I was surprised that he didn't seem to bear any relation to that little boy that was in the trilogy, that character. But there was just times when you see that little twinkle and there was that cheeky wee boy there. And the wee boy, the stubborn wee attitude, when they said there was no more money or he had to do this or he had to do that. That was the wrong thing to tell him, because there was that wee boy there. The eyebrows went down. And you suddenly saw the character from the trilogy, that wee doer face.